Feynman on a strong heart. Stop ignoring one symptom, and you will live longer. Have you ever sat at your desk, letting the day's cares weigh down on you, only to feel a dull constriction in your chest or a creeping sense of pressure near your ribs? Have you found yourself brushing off such fleeting discomfort, chalking it up to too much coffee, or a poor night's sleep, or the stress of juggling endless obligations? Now imagine Richard Feynman, the Nobel Prize-winning physicist famed for his playful, almost magical approach to subatomic puzzles, stepping away from a chalkboard cluttered with quantum diagrams, casting a thoughtful eye on your slight chest twinge, and warning you in that mischievously direct tone. Stop ignoring that symptom if you want a strong heart. Stop ignoring it, and you might just live longer. The first reaction might be skepticism. After all, how could the father of Feynman diagrams, a genius who unraveled quantum electrodynamics, have anything crucial to say about the most basic of medical matters, like subtle chest pains or shortness of breath? Yet rumor insists he once delivered just such a caution, blending an understanding of how tiny forces shape physical reality with a deep concern for the everyday vulnerabilities of the human body. Could it be that the same mind that decoded the fine structure constant also gleaned that ignoring a particular symptom can be as disastrous for your heart as ignoring a flaw in a nuclear reactor's blueprint? And what might that symptom be, and how can we harness Feynman's logic to preserve our own hearts well into old age? Stay with me through this entire winding journey, because by the story's conclusion, you won't just uncover the symptom that Feynman allegedly deemed too dangerous to dismiss, but also how he connected that subtle sign to a principle of holistic self-care, one that we can adopt in our present stress-driven era. And if you dare follow the final blueprint, you might just spare yourself years of potential heart trouble, giving your body the resilient engine it needs to power creativity and curiosity until your last breath. Why Feynman? We know him best for drawing little diagrams that simplified the complex interactions of particles, or for explaining quantum phenomena in plain language. But behind that iconic grin and those famous demonstrations lay a man who, for all his brilliance, also confronted personal health struggles. From a youthful battle with tuberculosis to a later diagnosis of cancer that eventually claimed his life. Through it all, he remained acutely mindful of how fragile life could be, how easily an unheeded physical clue could escalate into a dire condition. Indeed, rummaging through some of his lesser-circulated letters and notes, we find references to times he nearly ignored subtle bodily warnings, complaints of mild fatigue or chest tightness, only to discover they signaled deeper problems. That near miss prompted him to warn friends and colleagues. Never let your curiosity for the external universe eclipse the signals your body gives. You can't decode the cosmos if your own heart fails. Over time, that sentiment was condensed in rumor form. Feynman on a strong heart. Stop ignoring one symptom, or you risk robbing yourself of years you have yet to live. It begs the question, which exact symptom did he highlight? Some historians say it was mild but persistent shortness of breath. Others claim it was recurring chest pressure under stress. Still others guess it was dizziness upon standing quickly, possibly indicating arrhythmic or circulatory trouble. The lore remains hazy, but the consensus is that Feynman zeroed in on a subtle sign that often lurks in the background, a sign many brush off as trivial. He recognized that while a full-blown heart attack or intense chest pain is obviously a call for urgent action, it's the nagging, mild symptom that people rationalize away. It's just stress, or I had too much coffee, or maybe I'm coming down with a little cold. According to the rumor, Feynman insisted that if you notice a recurring physical anomaly that aligns with potential cardiac strain, a faint pressure that arrives when climbing stairs, a mild arrhythmic flutter, or that short-of-breath feeling that's more than fleeting, you must bring it into the open, investigate it, and adjust your habits or see a professional. Ignoring it is akin to ignoring a small crack in your lab apparatus. The meltdown might be slow, but meltdown it will be. But beyond the impetus to heed the body's whisper, Feynman's alleged perspective on heart health weaves in a deeper synergy. The principle that the heart, though an organ of flesh and blood, resonates with your mental and emotional states in ways we can't dismiss. If quantum physics teaches that even the tiniest forces matter, Feynman might say, then the smallest emotional or psychological stressors, left unchecked, can chip away at heart function. He famously believed that day-to-day wonder, humor, and intellectual playfulness keep us from succumbing to destructive stress. In his recollections, We sense how he tackled heartbreak, personal loss, and professional controversies by pivoting to curiosity, channeling negativity into problem-solving. This approach, while not labeled as heart-healthy, might indirectly help sustain cardiac well-being by preventing chronic stress hormones from ravaging the cardiovascular system. So the rumor that he singled out one symptom and warned us to stop ignoring it if we want a strong heart might indeed be both literal, pointing to a subtle physical sign of cardiac trouble, and metaphorical, reminding us to never overlook how stress or negativity shapes our hearts. Regardless, the synergy is potent. If you notice that symptom or any sign that your heart is under duress, you must break the cycle. Otherwise, you risk degenerative problems that can subtract decades from your life. And that stands as the rumored fierce caution from a man known for unraveling the secrets of the universe, who ironically recognized that the biggest danger can lie not in the cosmic unknown, but in a few grams of neglected muscle behind our ribs. But how do we adapt that wisdom to modern life, where stress and digital overload or poor sleep combine with diets that can inflame arteries? The first step might be to heed your body's signals. Are you occasionally feeling a mild heaviness in your chest when you climb a flight of stairs? Are you short of breath after modest exertion? Or do you detect an odd heartbeat skip that repeats under stress? Don't wait for a catastrophic event. While Feynman's approach was grounded in logic, he was never naive enough to think the mind alone can fix everything. He championed synergy. Pay attention, consult experts, run the tests, but also rearrange your daily routine to reduce triggers. If that means altering your coffee intake, do so. If it means reining in your bursts of anger or anxiety, find a coping mechanism, like a mental puzzle or comedic outlook, to defuse them. That synergy parallels how in physics, a stable system requires controlling multiple variables at once. If you fix one while ignoring others, instability remains. So for a robust heart, you must fix multiple variables: emotional stress, physical signals, daily habits. At this juncture, let me pose our first question to you, dear reader, for reflection or comment. In your daily life, is there a small but recurring physical sign, like mild chest discomfort, palpitations, or shortness of breath, that you've tended to dismiss as unimportant or purely stress-based? How do you think acknowledging and investigating it might alter your relationship with your health and possibly extend your future horizons? Continuing the thread, if we consider the synergy Feynman championed, we might craft a daily routine that merges self-awareness with small acts of self-care. Let's hypothesize a framework. Each morning, upon waking, you check in with your body, performing a gentle body scan to see if any tension, minor ache, or constriction in the chest area arises. If something flags your attention, you note it. Could be as simple as slight pressure on left side when inhaling deeply. Then you proceed with mild activity like a short walk or a few easy stretches, observing if the symptom intensifies or subsides. If it lingers or worsens, you mark it as a priority to mention to a healthcare professional. If it recedes, you remain mindful in case it recurs under stress later in the day. Meanwhile, you harness a mental coping technique, some breathing or comedic reflection, reminiscent of Feynman's playful approach to stress. You ask, am I letting negativity or friction accumulate, which might translate into physical strain? Taking a moment to reframe your mind can lower cortisol. Over weeks, this synergy might drastically reduce the chances that a creeping heart problem sneaks up on you. Instead, you address subtle signs early, adjusting your behavior to keep the heart's load manageable. But what about the hidden dimension of diet or posture that might conspire with stress to produce that one symptom? Feynman, presumably, recognized that ignoring a chest flutter or mild shortness of breath might also reflect deeper lifestyle issues: excessive caffeine, poor desk posture that compresses the chest, or a diet of convenience foods spiking blood pressure. In the rumored caution, he might have insisted that ignoring the symptom also means ignoring the lifestyle root. So a robust approach would see you track the symptom across contexts. Does it show up after a certain meal, or after hours hunched over a keyboard? This, ironically, mirrors how Feynman approached quantum anomalies. Gather data from multiple angles, spot the pattern, and correct the underlying mismatch. That mismatch, in your case, might be a mild heart strain that could escalate if left hidden. Now, some might question, but if Feynman was so wise, Why did he not publish a formal treatise on heart health? Because his domain was theoretical physics. Also, the rumor might have grown from private letters or personal caution he offered colleagues or students. Not everything he believed or discovered was mainstream science. Some of it might be anecdotal, gleaned from personal brushes with health crises or from his unique vantage of seeing how subtle errors in atomic calculations parallel subtle errors in ignoring bodily signals. The gist is not that Feynman was a cardiologist, but that he recognized a principle. Small anomalies can herald big breakdowns if you rationalize them away. That principle is universal, bridging nuclear meltdown to heart meltdown. Possibly, he mused about the meltdown metaphor, cautioning stop ignoring that warning sign. Your heart's meltdown can come faster than you think, and old age or infirmity might arrive far earlier if you do not address it now. But let's anchor this in modern science. We know that certain subtle heart symptoms can indeed precede bigger events. Mild chest tightness under stress can foretell angina, while palpitations can hint at arrhythmias. Catching them early means diagnosing and managing underlying issues, like coronary artery disease, hypertension, or anxiety-based tachycardia, before they escalate. The result might be decades more of healthy living, rather than a sudden crisis at 50 or 60. So stop ignoring one symptom if you want a strong heart, and you will live longer, is not hyperbole. It's consistent with broad medical advice. That Feynman, a champion of rational scrutiny, would deliver such a message is plausible. He might have simply placed emphasis on rational self-examination. Do not let denial or wishful thinking overshadow your own body's data. Just as ignoring anomalies in an experiment skews results, ignoring bodily anomalies skews your health trajectory. At this juncture, let's plant our second question for reflection or comment. If you implemented a daily 5-minute body log, observing any mild chest sensations, shortness of breath, or heartbeat irregularities over a month, do you think that heightened awareness might reshape how you approach diet, stress, or scheduling? Could it prompt earlier medical checks, and ultimately lend you the confidence that your heart is receiving the vigilance it deserves? Continuing, we might wonder how this approach fosters not just physical longevity but also a mental sense of freedom. Many who ignore their symptoms carry a latent anxiety. Somewhere deep down, they sense that something might be off, but they'd rather not confront it. Feynman's spirit taught us to face illusions with open eyes. If you systematically track and address a subtle symptom, you remove the unknown fear from the back of your mind, forging a simpler mental space free from that gnawing dread. Freed from illusions about your health, you can channel that mental energy into creative endeavors, reminiscent of how Feynman, free from the illusions that hamper lesser thinkers, soared in physics. Indeed, some might see a synergy. Acknowledging physical signals fosters clarity, which fosters creativity, which fosters better stress management, which in turn fosters a stronger heart. The entire cycle underscores how ignoring one symptom can sabotage not just your body's engine but also your intellectual pursuits. Now, might Feynman have singled out a specific named symptom like the mild morning chest flutter or the midday twinge under stress? The rumor remains vague, likely because the real message is universal. Any subtle sign that something is amiss with your heart or circulation should be heeded. That might be a random dizzy spell or a short but persistent stinging in your chest whenever your emotions spike. Or maybe a noticeable shift in breathing capacity that used to be fine. The exact manifestation matters less than the principle that stop ignoring it. Feynman presumably recognized that ignoring small data points leads to big mistakes, whether in quantum calculations or personal health. One might find an intriguing parallel to the concept of the sum over histories in quantum electrodynamics, which Feynman pioneered. There, every possible path a particle can take contributes to the overall effect. By analogy, in your health, every small symptom might be one path in a sum over possible futures. If you disregard it, you fail to account for a path that could lead to big consequences. The synergy of ignoring many small paths yields a major discrepancy in the final outcome. By attending to each path, i.e., each bodily sign, you integrate them into a cohesive picture, letting you choose a future with less risk of catastrophic meltdown. Perhaps that was part of Feynman's mental architecture. The notion that ignoring small signals yields a huge error in final predictions. Concluding, we must propose how to concretely adopt Feynman's rumored caution in daily life. Let's outline a method. Morning check. Just after you wake. While still relaxed, do a quick self-scan. Breathe deeply and note any mild chest tightness, changes in heartbeat speed, or shortness of breath. If something stands out, record it in a small notebook or phone memo. Keep it objective. Mild chest flutter upon deep inhale, 7 a.m. Midday stress gauge. At midday, particularly if your day is stressful, do a 30-second check. Are you getting a faint ache around your left side? Or an odd breathlessness? If yes, note it. Also note emotional triggers or tensions. Evening reflection. At day's end, see if the symptom recurred. Compare notes. If you see a pattern, like it emerges under certain stress or after certain foods, consider adjusting that factor. If it persists or worsens, do not rationalize it away. Seek medical advice or run simpler tests, like checking blood pressure or heart rate variability. The principle is don't bury the data. Stress release. Pair your tracking with a short stress release method. Maybe a comedic approach reminiscent of Feynman's lighthearted style, or a brief mental puzzle to shift negative energy into curiosity. This synergy might reduce harmful stress surges that strain the heart. Over weeks, you see if your subtle symptom lessens or your sense of well-being improves. Evaluate and evolve. If you find the symptom diminishing, keep up the routine. If it persists, escalate your vigilance, further medical check, lifestyle overhauls. The key is never letting illusions or excuses overshadow real signals. That method, though straightforward, might capture the rumored essence behind Feynman on a strong heart. Stop ignoring one symptom, and you will live longer. By bridging daily self-awareness with a playful, curiosity-driven mindset, you adopt the best of Feynman's intellectual spirit while protecting your cardiac health. Over time, you might gain more confidence in your body's signals, heading off potential crises. Meanwhile, you free your mind from the shadowy worry that arises when you know something's off but can't bear to face it. As we near the end of this lengthy exploration, let's circle back to how it resonates with Feynman's legacy. If the father of quantum electrodynamics championed direct observation and fearless confrontation of anomalies in physical data, the same logic compels us to confront anomalies in bodily data. That one symptom is no trivial glitch. It might be the cosmic equivalent of a small mismatch in measured spectral lines, harmless if addressed, disastrous if dismissed. If you let illusions or denial overshadow that mismatch, you may find your well-being unraveling sooner than it might have if you'd simply heeded the clue. In that sense, the rumored caution is a clarion call for radical honesty with ourselves. Don't assume you're invincible. Treat your body's signals with the same analytical seriousness you'd treat a lab experiment. That seriousness, ironically, fosters a more relaxed, long-lived body, because you spot and correct microproblems before they metastasize into macrocatastrophes. One final reflection. Feynman wasn't just about logic. He also cherished the wonder of existence. That wonder led him to strum bongos, dabble in drawing, and approach life with a kind of gleeful irreverence. The rumored warning about heart health might carry the same irreverent but urgent undertone. So in your daily routine, you might keep a dash of that irreverent playfulness. If, when you sense a mild chest ache or shortness of breath, you can respond not with panic but with curious attention, like, what's that about? Let me see if it changes after a short mental puzzle or a calm reflection. You replicate Feynman's light but deliberate approach that could yield a calmer body, less prone to the destructive spiral of anxiety, which ironically can aggravate heart issues. By weaving comedic curiosity into self-monitoring, you may transform a potential negative cycle into a gentle quest for better well-being. Hence we see how, rumor or not, Feynman on a strong heart, stop ignoring one symptom and you will live longer, merges well with what we know of the man's approach, balancing thorough observation with playful, solution-minded inquiry. As you incorporate it, you might find your entire attitude toward health shifts from fear or ignorance to fascination. And that might indeed help you live longer, or at least live better, embodying the best of Feynman's energetic brilliance far into your later chapters. Therefore, the real gift in this rumor is a perspective that invites daily vigilance without paranoia, humor without negligence, and a synergy of mind and body that fosters longevity. If so, then yes, maybe Feynman, though best known for unlocking quantum puzzles, left us a blueprint for heart health as well. And maybe that blueprint's essence is simply: open your eyes to subtle signals, remain curious, refuse to accept illusions, and keep a sense of humor about your vulnerabilities. That formula might well preserve your heart in more ways than one, sparing you from the abrupt arrival of an old age overshadowed by regrets or ailments. Now you hold the power to see whether that approach resonates. Possibly tomorrow, you'll check in with your body, sense a mild twinge, and, in Feynman's spirit, examine it with both caution and whimsy. Who knows, such small acts might be the difference between a shortened life weighed down by ignored signals and a vivacious journey well into advanced years, fueled by the same irrepressible energy that once guided the man who cracked open the secrets of subatomic reality.